Hey everybody, it's Kendra. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and welcome back if you've been here before. So friends, we're living in some really weird times right now with the coronavirus. I hope you are staying safe. I hope you are staying home, taking this seriously. I hope you are, doing your social distancing, only going out when you really need to. And I also hope that you are wearing masks. I get it. It's really weird in the West to wear masks. We're not really accustomed to it, but you better get accustomed to it really fast because masks really help to, if you're sick, it helps other people from getting sick. I know there's a lot of different research out there and a lot going on about how, blah, 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 if, it gives you a false sense of security. Okay. My attitude is if doctors and healthcare workers are wearing them to protect themselves, I'm going to wear it to protect myself. It cannot be worse. It cannot be doing more harm than not wearing one. But I also know that it's really hard to find masks nowadays. The N95 respirators, the painter's masks, the surgical masks, that's all nearly impossible. And we just have such a crazy shortage of that stuff. So my video today is going to be all about how you can make your own mask. So I've been sewing for probably the last 2 weeks, sewing masks. For the last couple of weeks, I've been playing around with different patterns, different materials, trying to figure out what works best for me, for the style that I want, and then also with the materials that I have. So a lot of the masks that you will see out there require elastic, and those patterns are easy, they are quick. You can mass produce those things like that. But the problem is that elastic is really difficult to find. If you don't already have a massive stock of elastic, good luck finding it. I'm pretty sure craft stores have been deemed non-essential, so I would assume that most, Joann Fabrics, Michaels, all of those, they've probably been closed. I don't know, knock on wood, maybe they're still open. Amazon has elastic, but the last I checked, it was going to take at least a month for that elastic to be delivered. So I knew when I created my mask design, I didn't want to use elastic just because I don't sew with elastic. I don't have a lot of it. So first I knew I didn't want elastic. I also knew that I wanted a pouch that I could put a filter into because, just a couple pieces of fabric, sure, that'll help. And if you just have a couple pieces of fabric and you can actually put that over a proper N95 mask, that's great. That's going to help prolong the life of that mask. But I knew that I wanted a pouch that I could actually put a filter into. And then I also knew that I wanted a wire. So this mask has all of these elements. And lucky for me, I realized that I had a whole bunch of vacuum cleaner filters. For some reason, when we order vacuum cleaner bags, they always put in extra filters, but our vacuum doesn't actually use these filters. So I've got a whole stack of them. So anywho, I'm gonna take you through all the steps. I'm gonna share all the materials you need, show you exactly how to do this. So I will be using a sewing machine today. That's definitely preferable. If you don't have a sewing machine and you are very motivated, you could totally do this with a needle and thread, but maybe throw on a TV show or something and just kind of hang out on your couch for a couple hours while you stitch. And before I get into my demo, I want to actually model my mask. If I lift them up, I can kind of bend the wire, form it to my nose, and then put my glasses on top of them. So there you go. So that's what it looks like. Now I do make it kind of long, just so it really can cover everything. You want to make sure you're covering from your nose all the way down to your chin. Okay, let's make a mask. So first you are going to need some cotton fabric. I have 2 squares cut out. They are 8 inches by 8 inches, which is about 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Also, I do want to note, when I sew my masks, I want to make sure that the grain is horizontal. Okay, so when this is up on my face, it's gonna look like this. It's not gonna look like this. So to figure out the grain, if you stretch your fabric, I'm not getting much stretch going horizontally, but if I pull it vertically, there is a little bit more stretch. So that's the cross grain. So I want the grain to be horizontal when I sew. And also you will notice that my fabric is printed all the way through. A lot of fabric will have kind of a blank side and then one side that has a pattern. So you will hear the terms right side versus wrong side. The wrong side is the side that doesn't have a pattern. The right side is the side that does have a pattern. So in this case, I don't really have a right side or a wrong side. I can just make that up as I go. So yeah, if you hear me saying like right side, wrong side, fold to the right side, fold to the wrong side, that's just what that means. Next, we need something for the straps. So I am using something called twill tape. This is bias tape, and I have 1 inch width twill tape. I got this off of Amazon a few years ago. It is still available. It comes in these big 50-yard rolls. You can make a lot of masks with this. So I have cut out 2 pieces of bias tape. They are each, 33 to 34 inches, which is about 85 centimeters. If you do not have twill tape, if you do not have bias tape, you could also cut out long strips of fabric. I would suggest cutting it to be about 2 to 2.5 inches wide, and then what you would do is fold it in half and iron that, and then each of those halves you would fold in again. We'll kind of get into that a little bit more when I show how to put the straps on. You could use hair ties. I know I have seen different patterns using hair ties in a pinch. I have not done this, but I did bring out some hair ties today to kind of give you a sense of how you could use these if you don't have extra fabric or you don't have any bias tape or anything. So this could also be an idea. All right, you're also gonna need some wire. So I am just using regular floral wire. This is 22 gauge and it's covered in green. So you're gonna wanna cut a piece about 5 inches, which is about 13 centimeters. Now, as for the actual filter that you put inside of the mask, this is totally up to you, depends what you have. I've got a whole bunch of vacuum cleaner filters that I just remembered that I had, so I'm gonna be using these in mine. These ones are perfect. I just have to cut off a little bit on the side. These are a perfect size. They're thick, they actually feel really good in the mask. They're kind of soft and squishy and comfortable. So yeah, if you have, vacuum cleaner filters, and you feel comfortable using those, you could use that. I also have these. This is from a brand called Nolio. This is actually a baby care company. They make baby products, like all organic, very clean baby products. So these are essentially, they've got these big pads in there. These are just basically, large cotton pads that you could use for wiping a baby's butt. I was sent them not because I have children, but because I make beauty videos. Well, I used to make beauty videos. So they sent me these as a pad for removing my makeup. So these are a pretty good size. I would say they're probably like 3 inches by 2 inches. So in a pinch, you could also use something like this, maybe double them up. Also fold up a bunch of tissue, maybe some paper towel, even a maxi pad. I really think a maxi pad would work great as a filter. You might have to cut it a little bit and kind of, jimmy it around in there, but that's another option as well. All right, folks, let's do it. Let's make some masks. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is make a double fold. So whatever side or whatever, top or bottom, you decide you want to be the top, you're going to do 2 folds. You're going to fold it over once and press it down. And then you're gonna fold that over again. So if you are using fabric that has a right and a wrong side, you are going to be folding to the wrong side. And then we're gonna repeat that on the other type of fabric. And now when I do it on the other side, what I like to do is use this first one as a guide because I wanna make sure that these are the same size after the folding has been done. So I like to do that second fold, kind of look at this. Are they pretty even? Okay, yep, they look pretty good. And then press that. And then one of these is going to be where the wire gets put in. So you see it's really handy having this already pressed so we can just kind of nicely, neatly tuck that in there. All right, so now we're gonna stitch. All right, so our first step with the sewing machine is just to sew along here. This is the piece that does not have the wire. So we're just gonna do a quick top stitch across these folds. All right, and then with the other side, we're gonna do the exact same thing, except this time we're gonna put the wire in. So I like to just place the wire kind of in that second crease, fold over the top, and then just kind of shove it into the fold. You can kind of run your fingernail along it. You just want to make sure that the wire is far enough away from the needle. You do not want to be running any piece of wire over with your needle. And again, I'm just going to stitch exactly how I did the other one. All right, great. So we've got our two nice little clean seams. So this is gonna form the pouch once it's eventually put together. So now we're gonna put the right sides together. So this is the nice clean outside. These are considered the right sides. So you're gonna put the right sides together. You're gonna line them up. You wanna make sure the top is nicely lined up. Okay, so line up the top, make sure that's all good. And then you wanna just throw a pin in, and then you're gonna stitch up the bottom. So now we basically have one large piece sewn together. So you're gonna fold this to the right side. So now the right side is out. Oh, look at that. It's the basis for a really beautiful mask. I'm gonna do a quick iron on the bottom to just make this nice and flat so it's not kind of bulging. And then we're gonna stitch up a little bit on the top. All right, so now I'm going to sew in the wire. I don't want the wire to be moving around, and I also wanna make my little pouch. So I've got the tops lined up really nicely. And if I bend it like this, you know, now I can see where the ends are, the ends of my wire are. So what I wanna do is start here. I wanna stitch back and forth just outside the wire. And then I'm gonna follow this seam and stitch to the end. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So find the end of the wire, stitch right outside it, up and down, and then pivot and go to the end. So that's going to secure the wire, and it's also gonna make our little pouch. And again, please do not sew over the wire if you can help it. So you're gonna go right to that first seam, that top stitch seam, and then you're gonna reverse. We really wanna secure that wire in there. Okay, now we're gonna pivot and sew to the end. And then I just flip it over and do it the exact same way. And then we turn, stitch to the end. All right, and voila, look at that. Now we have a pouch and the wire is sewn in. The wire can't wiggle around. We are halfway done. Now we just need to make some folds. All right, so now I want to fold in some tucks. So I've got the wire on the outside here, and this is obviously the top. So what I'm gonna do first is fold this in half, and this is gonna be my base crease. So I'm gonna fold it in half and then iron. Then I'm going to open it up a little bit, but I'm not gonna unfold it all the way. I'm probably gonna leave about, you know, half an inch, a centimeter on each side. Make sure they're pretty even, and then you are going to iron again. All right, and then I'm gonna pin in those tucks. And just be careful with your fingers, it's very, very hot. All right, and then for the second tuck, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm just gonna go up. And again, I'm gonna press. And then we pin. It's gonna go on the bottom, just gonna fold it up. Let's make it a little bit different. There we go. That looks about good. And again, we press. And then we pin. So that's what it looks like from the front, and that's what it'll look like from the back. Perfect. And then for my last step at the iron, I'm actually gonna iron my bias tape. So I'm gonna fold my 1 inch twill bias tape in half, and then I'm gonna press it. And I'm gonna do both lengths of my bias tape exactly like this. And I just wanna show you quickly what you could do for straps if you do not have twill tape or bias tape. So I cut a piece of fabric, this is about 2 inches wide. So what I would do if I didn't have that stuff and I wanted to make fabric straps, I'd fold it in half and press this. Okay, and then I would open it up. And then I would fold in each side towards the center. And then I'd press that down. And then I would fold the other side in towards the center. Now this is definitely much more putsy and takes more time, but it's definitely an option. Okay, and then I would fold everything over like this. If you're good at origami, you'll be good at this. And then press. So that could work if you were in a pinch and you didn't have any sort of bias tape. Again, definitely not ideal because it's kind of annoying and fussy, but it would work. All right, so now we're gonna do a quick stitch across each side just to really keep those folds in place. All right, so next we're going to attach the ties. So I like to take the tie, fold it in half, find the center point, and then just fold this over the mask. Just kind of shove the mask in there, get everything nice and smooshed in, and then you're gonna pin it. See, this is the nice thing about doing it like this. You don't have to worry about the raw edge on either side because you're just gonna fold it with that tape and cover it up. And then again, same thing on the other side, find the center, open that baby up, and put it on the mask. All right, so now I'm just gonna stitch here, and I do like to keep relatively close, you know, still on the tape, but relatively close to the mask. Also, I'm just gonna take this off for a quick second. I wanna show you how you could do this if you didn't have any sort of tape and you wanted to use a hair tie. So I've never done this myself, but this is kind of my thinking about this. So what I would do if I was gonna use a hair tie, I would turn it to the back. So I like to keep the wire on the front. So the wire is here, so that would be the front. So what I would do is just kind of jimmy my hair tie there and then kind of fold this over. And then I would stitch right here. You know, it's not ideal, but if you can't get elastic and if you don't have any of this other stuff and you don't want to do the fabric straps, that could work. Look at that, we're almost done. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is just do a quick stitch all along the side of the strap. I'm gonna keep it obviously where the sides are open. I'm gonna stitch that together, and then I'm gonna go all the way down again across the mask to really enforce it, and then all the way to the other end. And then again, same thing on the other side. And then to finish off the straps, what I like to do is just tie a knot. If you have a sewing machine that's really powerful, and you know, if you could double this up, stitch over it. My sewing machine just tends to get stuck if I do that. So I like to just tie a knot. All right, we're almost done. This is looking so good. So now what I want to do is just do a quick top stitch across the whole bottom. And I want to stitch all the way across the bias tape on both sides. That's going to help secure the bias tape on the bottom. I also want to do the same thing on the top. I want to start at the very top corner and I want to stitch right in to where we made that little barrier. You know, this has nothing to do with making the pocket. The pocket is already made and that's right here. But I just want to have just another little bit of stitching there just to really secure the straps to the mask. All right, so let's stitch the bottom first. And then just a tiny bit at the top. All right, so there you go. That is the mask all finished. And now you can put in a filter. So I'm gonna be using one of these Miele air clean filters. It's a little bit too big like this, so I will trim it a little bit. I think I'll just cut off like an inch off of the side. Okay, and then just kind of tuck that baby inside, jimmy it around, and you are good to go. Let's put this baby on, give you one last look. Oh, I kind of like it if I tie it up high. I think it'd be very helpful for women if you have long hair to like have a bun, because I feel like the bun could sort of help that stay tied on the top. And again, we're gonna push down the wire to really form it, and then give our glasses something to rest on. So anyway, there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.